Ladies and gentlemen, from the capital city of Georgetown, Guyana, the land of many waters in South America, please welcome Lady Wendy.
Hello, thanks for coming and welcome you, the viewing audience. Today we have a great show lineup for you. We are going to be talking about generational wealth, how to leave when you die, you leave for the next generation and the next generation, how to build wealth, very simple steps. We are going to be talking with the governor, the former deputy governor of the Bank of Guyana, also the proprietor of National Hardware, Mr. Edward Boyer, who's been in business for 47 years. He will give you some tips for the successful business person that he is. So stay tuned, we'll be right back.
It takes just a bite and a taste to get you hooked on an incredibly delightful discovery. Humphrey's Bakery and Farm Products. It's the taste of the best combination of spices. Get a taste of our buttery buns, delightful tarts and scrumptious cakes, rolls and pastries. Sample nature at its best. Visit us today at 38 Ketley Street, Charleston, or call us on telephone 225-7864. Humphrey's Bakery and Farm Products, where we delight in serving you the best.
Oh, wow. We have a great show for you. Sitting with me today, we have Edward Boyer. He is the proprietor and the owner of National Hardware. And you know, today we are celebrating rather, our Guyanese businesses that has been around for many, many years. We have here National Hardware was founded in 1971. And it's almost 47 years. When Mr. Boyer walked in the studio today, I said to him, "You look fantastic. I cannot believe that 47 years you look like you're not even 50. So congratulations. We're thankful and we're grateful. Guyanese, every Guyanese know the name National Hardware. So how did this all started?
Well, you bring me back to 1971, and when I think of 1971, I think of how old I was then.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, I started this business when I was, 21. And I went into more or less the hardware business. My father was in business, and it was kind of like a general store.
Okay.
And those general stores was like the old counter type stores where they just sell hardware and a little bit of regular household items. And when I started National Hardware, that's how I started in 1971. It's an experience. I mean, years and years of trying to perfect and perfect and perfect. You're still perfecting, but I could tell you that we are proud to say that National Hardware brought the concept of shopping, not with a counter, but to go and actually touch the merchandise. And, you know, this was something that I did. I started it in 1991.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you can, like, you sort of did it like how they did it in the North American countries, where you can actually touch rather than over the someone passing you stuff.
Correct.
One of the things that I really admire when I actually put together the Lady Wendy concept of generational wealth is longevity that I see and sustainability that I see with National Hardware. When someone said they've been in business, Guyana is a fairly young country. And if you've taken 47 years, what would you say to the viewers out there that success came from? If you were to tell me one word or one sentence, what would you say success? 47 years. And I mean, 47 years is no light years. It's 4 decades and almost 5 decades.
Success comes from failure. You have to fail to be successful. A lot of people, they don't understand the concept. But I tell you, you could actually have an idea on a concept, you take it, it's not bankable, and you try it, and you succeed. Or sometimes you have a failure at, just at the start, and once you persist, that's when you actually see success beginning to pay off in terms of the investment.
So what would you say, sorry, what would you say were some of your obstacles that occurred and you overcome those obstacles?
The first thing is trying to get finance.
Finance.
Finance basically is something that it's not, everybody will have a concept and an idea, but to get the financing for it, you got to make it bankable. If it's not bankable, then it's a risk. Now you got to weigh the risk, whether you could take the risk, challenge the risk, go forward with it, and make yourself a success. So, and a lot of times, you have limits.
Okay.
And, if it's not bankable, you got to really decide how it is. The banking system here is not kind to risk. They're very, how I would say the banks here, they look for the brick and mortar security, what you have, what is value, and what we lend on it.
Well, as we look at your buildings that I've seen, and as we are viewing it right now, you have gone from being in what we would call in Guyana a depressed community. You've started in Tiger Bay. Okay, how was it in those days and compared to now?
Well, Tiger Bay basically in those days in 1971, although very depressed, was hardware stores. There were more than one hardware store in Tiger Bay, and the stores, they would normally have services like they would cut glass, cut mirrors, and that little bit of speciality created the need for people to come to those areas to buy certain things that were basic, things that they need, and then obviously you sell them the other nuts and bolts.
Oh, okay. So what made you succeed relative to somebody else for 47 years? What would you say is your medicine?
In Tiger Bay, I'll tell you,
What's your medicine?
Getting to know the people. 47 years in business to succeed. Wendy, I must tell you that it's to pay your bills on time. If you can't pay your bills, it's to tell your creditors or whoever you owe when you'd pay the bill. It's an important factor, and I urge every single body that's listening here tonight to understand that your credibility is not the money in your pocket. It's how much you interact with the people you owe or the people you take credit from. It's something we in Guyana, we take it lightly because of the fact that there's no credit bureaus here giving ratings to the people that borrow money, as in the United States and other places, that if you have bad credit, you're done. So a lot of people in Guyana take it for granted that you could just take other people's money, borrow from other people, borrow from the bank and disappear. I'm urging them, that's not the right way. Your credibility is very, very important.
100%.
Absolutely.
I would say it's not wonderful.
Absolutely.
I agree with you. Now, apart from you've built this empire, and I'm sure you're going to have another, 60 more years the way you're going.
Oh, man.
Do you see it as in generational wealth? How do you, with your grandchildren and taking over the ramp of your empire,
Well,
what have you put in place that all this that you've built? Because I've seen empires fall because you have not put in the structure for sustainability. What have you done?
That's a very good point. There are a number of businesses here that don't have any form of succession. And in our business, my son, fortunately, he wanted to study medicine, chose the best Ivy League school in America, went and came back the first year and said, I want to change and do economics. And I had nothing to do with it. He came back as an economist with a master's from, as I said, an Ivy League university, very bright fellow, and came into the business. So here's the old and the new. And in a lot of family businesses, that sometimes don't be, they don't
It doesn't,
saddle
it's
up.
succession, as you were saying. They don't, it doesn't pass on.
That is the worry.
And that is the worry. Do you worry about that?
Absolutely not, because we have such a good relation
Okay.
that we create and lean on each other. And I think if anybody again is listening, the way to succession in business is to give the young people some breathing space. Obviously they come in sometimes with ideas that we feel is far-fetched. But I'm going to tell you, the older persons, had far-fetched ideas when you were younger.
So
And
you
I could-
don't stifle it, then, in
Absolutely
other words.
not. You should not.
Okay.
You know.
Well, I'm very, very proud because what I find, even within my own generation, family, you always hear, well, your grandfather had this. And that's why I actually put on this Lady Wendy show on this topic. Oh, your grandfather was the first to have a sawmill, or the first to have, my aunt to have a launch in Wakenham. But then there's nothing to say, well, how did they maintain that succession that when we come, that you could always come and meet something rather than having to start over?
Depends on how your children are brought up.
Yeah.
In our home, both myself and wife made sure that my son, who's in the business, has a responsibility. And when he went to school, he understand he had a student loan. He had to pay it back. He understand that there's certain ways of doing things, and the value for money.
The value.
Absolutely.
So you didn't just throw it at him because you built in business. You show him financial responsibility, in other words.
You're absolutely right, and I think that we should all do that and not spoil our children. We want the best for them, but we should give it to them when they earn it.
That's right.
My-
Because
my-
I've always said, I have kids of my own, and I say, yes, you love them, but you still have to be firm with them. And I think people sometimes get mixed up, but that's for another topic
Yeah,
when I'm dealing with
yeah,
issues within the family and how you bring up your kids. But going back, let me take you back into generational wealth. Now, I'm hoping your son is an only son, an only child. You have lots of grandchildren because you would have quite a bit of wealth to pass down.
Well, just I was actually just a couple of days ago. He said to me, "You should have had more children." So I said, "Well, you'll correct that mistake." And the fact is that he has to correct the mistake and have more children.
Okay.
But you have to understand that children should earn rather than be given and spoon-fed with things. They would never value it unless they earn it.
If you were to change one thing, what would that be?
That's a hard question. It's a very hard
But
question.
you look like you can handle all those hard questions.
What would I
And by the
change?
way, congratulations. I was also told that you are the chairman of the Private Sector Commission.
That's right.
And that's quite an honor,
Yes. That's quite a responsibility.
I'm sure, but you can handle it.
Well, sometimes you're between a rock and a hard place as to what to do next.
Okay. And how many employees would you say you have?
We like to say we have 300.
Oh, 300.
But it's over 300 because we have subcontractors,
Okay.
people that we contract to do jobs and projects.
everyone. Thank you for coming. It's such a pleasure to have you here. And I have a little something for you for your years of service to the Guyanese community. I want to say thank you and
Thank you
well
very much.
done. I am
Thank
proud
you.
of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
In today's fast-paced world of modern finance, with its many options and opportunities, you will need good advice and help getting value for your money. Hand-in-Hand Trust is the way to go. From owning your own home or business with our residential and commercial mortgages to drive a new car with a vehicle loan, we'll help you realize your dreams. You can also access investment deposit accounts, share brokerage services, personal trust, thrift and pension plan trusteeship, property management, investment portfolio management, safe deposit boxes, the convenience of our Cambio, Western Union, and Bill Express services. Hand-in-Hand Trust for financial services and more, helping you get the most out of your financial resources and your life.
Welcome back. Oh, that was not wonderful having Mr. Boya from National Hardware talking about generational wealth. Now I'm going to show you a little clip for a friend of mine in Toronto who goes into detail, and I want you to take close attention to what he's saying about generational wealth, because you out there and in the audience here, you have to, there's every little bit that helps, because we don't want, and that's the whole premises behind this show and generational wealth. We don't want you to die and leave nothing for the next generation. The next generation should come and meet. So I want you to pay very close attention to that. And I also have someone who's going to break it down and tell you about financial wealth, the components for personal financial management. Dr. Terrence Smith is going to be here with us shortly. We'll be right back.
Hi, welcome. How you doing? My name is Frank Corbin. I'm a real estate mentor, and welcome to the Lady Wendy Show. Today we're going to talk about generational wealth, and this is right down my alley, and this is what I do. I've been doing this from age 19 years old and get on the brinks of building wealth. And I said, if I want to build wealth, it has to be generational. That's what I was taught from my grandmother growing up in Guyana. So generational wealth is the most unselfish way of becoming wealthy. You think of it, it's the most unselfish way of becoming wealthy. You're building wealth for a new group of people that you don't even know, and probably would never know, because it's generation, okay? It's for the generation to come. So first thing, once you decide that's your strategy, you're going to use to become wealthy, there's a few rules you must do. Number one, we don't work for anyone, because a job is not generation. You cannot transfer a job to the next generation, the next generation, next generation. So we don't work for anyone. That's number one. Next thing is you have to be in a continuously learning mode. The more you learn is the more you earn. Okay? New strategies, okay? Education breeds new strategies. So the more educated you are is the more strategy you can implement. Most important, when you are building generational wealth, you want to be current with your knowledge, because what you implement 20, 30 years ago, or even 10, 15 days ago, might not be current today. So if you're going to transfer wealth to the next generation, it has to be transferred in their language, in their behavior pattern, and in their work ethics. So don't think because you built it how many years ago, your kid's going to take it over and move it on the same way you're going to, because things change. Okay? So once you understand all these concepts, learning, then next you do is find the right vehicle. The next vehicle, that means whatever business model you're going to use to become wealthy or to transfer to the next generation. Mine is real estate. I'm a real estate investor. I'm a wealth builder, and I use real estate as my vehicle. You can use different businesses. You can use there's online businesses. There's just regular businesses. There's product and service business. So many different options you have today, become very wealthy. And the next and final thing is never be afraid to take action. Never be afraid to take action on your ideas. Every strategy that you missed, that you're afraid to take action on, is the next generation you are disappointing. Keep that in mind. Never be afraid to take action. Learn always, never work a job, never be afraid to take action on your ideas, and you will be successful. Remember, it's the most unselfish strategies you can use to become wealthy. My name is Frank Corbin, your real estate mentor to your success. See you then.
Welcome back. I am joined right now with Dr. Terrence Smith, former governor of the Bank of Guyana, who's here with me today to discuss the components of financial management. Once you're talking generational wealth, we must deal with that. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, we're talking generational wealth, we're talking financial management. What would you say, coming with those accolades against your name, that you would say to the audience about building wealth? What are the prerequisites or what are the components that they would need to do so?
Well, I have to give you some background on wealth building, the way I see it. I have traveled the world, and everywhere I go, the one thing that really strikes out to me is you cannot spend all that you earn. It doesn't matter wherever you go, you cannot spend more than you earn. If you do that, you will never able to accumulate or become wealthy, because you always will be behind all the time. So the first thing you must think about, and it doesn't matter how much you make, always put aside something. In other words, the literature says pay yourself first. Meaning, if you work for $50,000, you can put aside at least maybe a 2,000, let's say, somewhere. And every time you do that, you will get a 2,000, then a 2,000, and you will accumulate, and don't ever touch it. So this is where the discipline part comes in. So even though I would say to you, you cannot spend more than you earn, you also have to be disciplined to make sure that you put aside this little bit. You know, I remember when we were growing up as kids in Guyana here, they used to have penny banks. I don't know if they still have them now.
They do. There are some around, but I'm not familiar. But I am pretty sure there is.
So it was a way that as kids, we were taught the discipline of depositing something someplace.
Okay.
So at the end of the year, you will get your little something. It will accumulate to something, because every week you put 5 cents, 10 cents, and so on and so forth. It's the same methodology, and the same kind of thinking should be applied now, even more so, because one of the things you have to do is you have to show creditors, let's say, that you're doing something. For example, you cannot expect a creditor to loan you money, and your credit history or the credit files in you says you're bad debt.
I agree with you. Now, someone, if I may interject here, will say, I could never, if I'm only making 50,000 Ghana dollars, I could never truly be wealthy and leave from the next generation. If you put away 1,000 Ghana dollars, when you're, when would you ever get wealthy? Okay. When you're 200 years old? Like, what would you say to that?
So the next step after you put it away, right? It comes in steps. You do the first baby step first, which is put it away. So you have to understand that getting wealthy has to do, there's a time factor involved.
Okay.
Right? There's a time factor involved, and the time factor really is this issue or the matter of compounding, right? So if you put $10 in the bank,
mm-hmm.
and let's say at the end of the month you get 10 cents, but you can think about this times how many, much more.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a basic.
Yeah, you're
stuff,
doing
right?
it.
So you get 10 cents. So the next time you go back to the bank, the next month, you have $10.10. So the interest is going to be on $10.10. So the next month you go back to the bank, it's going to be not $10 anymore. It's going to be $10 plus the interest, plus the interest, plus the interest. So what happens is, as times go by, you keep building it. This is for the small.
So you're talking, and
right.
I mean, we do have
right. And there's a lot of people like
in that age,
actually
that range of financial.
That's right. The majority of individuals, especially in Guyana,
mm-hmm.
they're right there.
Okay.
So this is what you do. You let it compound.
Okay.
Okay. The issue here in Guyana is that the question is, what do you do besides saving?
That's right.
That's part of the issue.
And that's what, because I know, having lived in North America,
Right.
that they have different other components
That's right.
to saving your money. Mutual funds, where you can,
And that I have to say, and I say it with some kind of reservation.
oh, okay.
Is that the markets here, what we call the secondary markets, like in the States, you have the secondary markets where you have like saving bonds, let's say, for example.
Okay.
Saving bonds is where the American government sell these saving bonds, and the individuals, like I used to buy them, I used to have $100 out of my paycheck
Go to the saving
every
bonds.
month to the saving bond program.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, so if I stayed with the central bank that I
You
was
would
for 25 years, and they took out $100 every month,
Then you,
so you see where I would be, right?
okay.
And to tell you the truth, that is what I did.
Okay.
So for 25 years, I had a $100 saving bond. And by the way,
Is that the same as GICs or? No?
yeah, well, they're a simple version
Okay.
of a financial instrument.
Okay.
Because financial instruments come in different levels, and the levels have to do with risk. You see, so at the lower level, you have to be what I call risk averse.
Well, since we don't have Ghana bonds here,
Yes.
your pitch would be start off on
Yeah.
your putting away,
Yes.
have it compounded.
Yes.
Is there any other
Well,
components that you see here in Ghana?
there are other components, but you have to be careful.
Okay.
And this is where I have my reservations, right? So there, for example, there are small businesses that are opening up. So if you can find a way, and you need to take advice on this, because I wouldn't give advice, maybe only on a one-to-one basis. If you can leverage that situation, a small business situation, you can also, because business is one of the key ways really to build wealth. Because,
I believe so.
Right. If you work for somebody, it's very difficult to build wealth. Or if you work for a company, it's very difficult to build wealth. Because first of all, you know, the tax situation, you become like a captive type employee, everything's taken out and so on and so forth. So as a small businessman, or a small businessman, they have the capacity to, I just use the marketplace, I should say, right? For example, buy goods low, sell them high, so on and so forth, supply and demand, so on and so forth. And that's where you make a lot of money.
You can see your percentage. Yeah,
see
you
percentage. Like, for example, if you negotiate very well, let's say with a wholesaler, okay? Even if you, let's say, become just a vendor, let's say a vendor at a marketplace, okay? So you buy a bag of tomatoes, okay? For, I don't know what to sell for, let's say $1,000, okay? So you can now take that $1,000 bag of tomatoes and make it
resell.
5,000.
That's right, because you resell.
You
Resellable.
right.
Resell.
But when you put the money in the bank, also, you limit it because the bank now has to make money
On your
money
on your
to
money.
give you back, to pay
Yeah.
you back, and so on. So there's a spread, they call it.
People just know how to start a business,
Yes.
but we need to tell them how to maintain a business so that they can take it and have that 47 years
Yes.
so they can say, well, look, this is what I've left for my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, because you have to put proper guidelines and systems in place. And once again, I thank you for coming. It was so informative. I look forward to having you back on the show with us. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
You're simply the best. Better than all the rest. Better than anyone. Anyone I've ever met. I'm stuck on your heart. I hang on every word you say. You're simply the best.
Remember to tune in to the Lady Wendy Show every Monday at 4:30 p.m. right here. Listen to amazing topics that will put a smile on your face. If you would like to be a part of our studio audience or have any business advertisements that you would like to display on our show, then visit us at www.ladywendyshow.com and leave us a message. Don't forget, every day is precious. Remember to live, laugh, and love.